Hi everyone, I'm Anthony O'Flynn coming to you from the Sunshine Coast, which is also going to be the location for the 2023 Paradigm Shift Summit, 17th to 19th of June at Mantra, Mooloolaba, right on the beach there. So stay tuned for all the details coming out about the event. You can visit paradigmshift.com.au, sign up for the newsletter there, or just simply check out the website to see what's happening as we give more and more announcements about the event. So one topic that's really becoming the forefront of many people's consciousness and concern as we're moving through this decade is basically the bifurcation of consciousness, or the splitting of consciousness, which is now in many ways starting to become tangible, and many people are not sure how to integrate this into their being and into the way forward for their awakening journey. And more people are saddened, are frustrated, are confused in many ways about what this actually means, what this looks like, and what the way forward is for them personally. So really what's happening now is we're heading into the very, very key years of this whole process of awakening. And what we're going to see now is this bifurcation of consciousness intensify, where the people who are going through the awakening process are basically connecting with a certain aspect of their destiny which will take them to a higher state of consciousness. And this doesn't mean that people on this journey don't have to make efforts, and this is one of the big failings of the New Age, is that many people just simply think that it's all going to happen by itself. So evolution, conscious evolution is extremely challenging actually, and it can be extremely fast, but it requires this conscious intent, and it also requires change in behaviour, change in mindset, taking ownership of our limitations, our flaws, and integrating our shadow, all these sorts of things which are very much left out of the conversation in today's pseudo-spirituality, which is prevalent and it pretty much dominates the spiritual landscape of today. So this will gradually change this decade as you see more people actually mature on the spiritual path and start to embody some of these qualities in a much more deep and profound way. So the main concern many people are having at the moment is this feeling of loss from this disconnection they have with their friends, their colleagues, their family. Sometimes people they've known for 20, 30 years, friendships, marriages, intimate partners, colleagues in various sporting affiliations or clubs or societies, whatever, and obviously various friends. And the question is what to do. And the first response many people are having is actually trying to wake up the so-called their friends and whoever, the people in their life, which at best is usually done pretty chaotically and pretty clumsily, and often doesn't really have big effects. And at the same time, there's a rift that's created in that relationship because of this tension. And the tension actually comes often from the person who's going through the awakening process to try to get their friend, colleague, partner, whoever, to match their energy, which is completely futile. And this is part of the process itself of awakening and starting to get into the deeper levels of this spiritual journey, which it ultimately is. And simply accept that not every person is coming on this journey with you. And that's okay, because it's a soul choice. And I'm not saying it's a good choice or a bad choice. It is a choice, but that choice has effects. And this is what's important to consider, because the effects now of not starting to embody these qualities at a higher state of consciousness means that the gap will simply widen. And what's important to understand is many people are thinking of these terms in black and white, that there's simply two groups, those who are awake, those who are asleep. I don't really like the word asleep, but you understand my point. This is actually not true. For some people, they're definitely on the path of going into this projection of destiny, of this black zone or this white zone. But what's really important to understand is that there is a huge intermediary zone. Some people refer to it as a grey zone or undefined zone, that this soul choice hasn't really been made yet. And this is where the gold is, because there's going to be a huge percentage of these people who are in this category who actually do migrate into the white zone, who are starting to go through this process of awakening, which is going to transpire over the next 2 decades. The problem is that some people, because of their age, are actually running out of runway at a biological level, and that's part of the whole cosmic plan as well. But it does mean that the people who are younger in terms of their age are actually have this advantage or this potential, because they have this enthusiasm, this dynamism, this more life force than people who are, say, in their 70s and older. Even some people in their 60s. It's not categorical in that way. But what's important to understand is that the majority of the population on this planet are in the intermediary zone. So therefore it comes back to, well, what's the calling of the people who are already on this journey of awakening is to be the best version of themselves, and actually try to move out of this confused state of trying to rescue people who don't want to be rescued. I mean, it's blatantly obvious what we've seen in the last 3 years, going into the 4th year of this chaos since this thing started, the global pandemic as it's called. Most people don't want freedom. They don't care about their liberties or their human rights or their autonomy or anything. They don't even care about their bodily autonomy. And that's the way it is. And to try to argue otherwise is futile, because the statistics, the numbers, the reports in the media, the behaviour of people, it confirms this. So what it means is that the people who are in this category, many of which who are in this intermediary zone, are going to have the opportunity still to go through this path of awakening. But don't expect everyone to take that path, make that choice, because they're on a trajectory as they are at the moment to not go through that. But they still have the opportunity to change. But one of the big things, qualities will be with this is actually overcoming pride is going to be one of the major ones. There are many qualities that need to be embodied and integrated, but overcoming pride is actually a big one. And to actually admit, wow, I was so wrong. I really was completely wrong about so many of the opinions that I've formed about all these issues that we've seen over the last few years, and to actually become more detached from the ego, which is going to be an overwhelming challenge for some people. But don't mistake the fact that the choices that people have made in the last few years, and their attitudes and the way that they have treated other people, are any indication whatsoever that they are on this journey awakening. So they're just not. I mean, the lesson here for the people on this journey, for some people, and I'm making general statements here, is to walk away and to actually move on. I mean, so many people experience this situation where they were ghosted, ridiculed, mocked, blocked on social media, all these things. And that's okay. But the sad thing is that for some of these people, when they actually do come to the realization and have this lucidity of what's actually transpiring on this planet, they actually need the help of those around them who are on this journey of awakening. But again, it will be their pride that stops them from asking for help, because then they would have to admit they're wrong, which is going to be quite a leap in consciousness for many people. Now, having said that, some people are going to make that leap, and it's going to be amazing to watch and amazing to see the revelations and the realizations that so many of these people are going to have. But to clarify this, I'm not referring to necessarily if someone has had the juice or not, because there are some people that haven't had the juice that are completely toxic. And there are also some very well-meaning, very loving, very compassionate people who have had it, who are just simply ignorant about many of these issues around geopolitics or social, political, medical issues and so on. So to define things in black and white terms upon that one issue alone of what choice they made in regard to their medical choices, it's not correct. but it will be a parameter or an evaluation for some people at the same time. So overall, what I'm trying to say here is it's not good to think in black and white terms. But having said that, this splitting of consciousness, the bifurcation, eventually the die will be cast and people will be experiencing the different realities, the two different realities, moving to the trajectory of the new paradigm, the new earth, or simply maintaining the consistency of this 3D paradigm as we're on now. And I'm amazed to see what's even now occurring in the physical world, where people are now becoming energized and starting to take responsibility for many of these things in the physical world to help co-create the new reality. It's not just become an abstract concept. Things need to begin at a mental level to begin this journey in this way, these concepts, these ideas, and then it will filter through to the physical world last. So that's the last plane of existence that you're going to see, where this starts to become more clear, more tangible, more integrated in this way. So for people who are losing hope, or I see a lot of this, a lot of people in the awakening communities on this doom tangent. This paradigm is dying. It will die. It is destined to fail. It's baked in the cake. It needs to fail, and everybody needs to see it fail. And that's why when we come to this awakening and this intermediary zone, is that when I said before that mosquitoes are out, that people are not having those values. Well, it's obvious that the most, at least in Australia, the thing that people care the most about is money, the material, commercial, consumer aspect of their life. That's really, sadly, so many people are in this dense consciousness where this is the main thing. And because of that, sort of going off on a tangent now, but because of that, that's going to be where the hammer falls. And it is amazing the metrics that are coming out now in Australia in terms of the debt, in terms of mortgage stress, in terms of stagnant wage growth, in terms of inflation, and confidence and buoyancy in the economy, and how so few people are actually starting to realise where we are going. And regardless of how they skew all the metrics and massage the data to make it look more favourable, it is going to be extremely painful time for the people of Australia, which again will produce the effect ultimately of people becoming more spiritually orientated, which will have a lot of positive outcomes. But at a material level, it's going to be very challenging for people because they are just simply unaware of the terrain, unaware of the plan to indebt people, to put people in debt, because people who are in debt are people who you can't control. And this is a very simple but tried and true tactic that is by design. But this again will help, because things have been so good, at least here in Australia, it will help bring to the forefront a deeper connection to people's soul, to their soul journey, to the process of evolution, and put them in touch with their suffering a little bit more. That will help act as a catalyst for transformation. So this is going to be a profound time. I mean, 2023 is really going to shape up as being a year where things will really start to kick off in a positive way. And this group in the intermediary zone will start to feel the calling of their soul, will get this evolutionary impulse at a personal level. The circumstances of their life, they'll look around and see that things are not going the way they want or the way they should or the way they expect, but there'll be a transformation of consciousness internally that will experience a reframing of how they perceive their external world. So I'm expecting that there will be a large percentage of people who are going to migrate out of the intermediary zone, which is a process. It's a process. And it's important, if you can see that this is happening to people around you, to be patient with them. And it will be at a certain level, without the awareness and the lucidity, it'll be very difficult to actually perceive who they really are. because ultimately this is a soul journey, this is a soul calling, and no amount of information you can show to people will wake them up. No amount of data will wake them up. No one video, not one must-see interview, not one must-hear podcast, not one book, which is the book I wrote, by the way, that might help somebody. Paradigm Shift, The Global Awakening of Humanity, 2020 to 2040. And I talk about this in detail, actually, in this book about the bifurcation of consciousness and what that's going to look like. And you are going to see people that you've known perhaps your whole life fall out of this disconnect, and you'll feel it and you'll know it. For many people who've been on this journey for decades, maybe it could happen 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but now it's becoming more like it's happening to more people in a shorter time frame and to a vast bigger quantity of people. So it's a very big topic, and you're going to hear a lot more about this decade, how to manage it. You can still love people who you are not in your life. You can still have compassion for them. But ultimately, the soul journey is the one that needs to be honoured, and this will be something that we all need to come to terms to individually, what that's going to look like for us in terms of our relationships, our friendships, who we associate with and who we just allow to drift out of our life. And at the same time, there's going to be an influx of new people, of new souls, of new connections, and this vacuum will be filled at some point. And if you're in that isolation stage, well, then it's good to actually go through this process to actually really come to terms with who you are and to evaluate where you want to go, what you want to do with your life, what's important to you, what your values are, all these sorts of things. And come to Paradigm Shift Summit, where obviously you're going to connect with all people who are on the same page. That's one of the big features of the whole event. So there is that, and also to start to understand and honour your soul journey, which no one else can do that but you. And as I reiterate, there is no wrong choice in this. It's a soul choice. But it requires a strength of the soul to embody evolution at this point. And evolution is not being up to date with the latest geopolitics, the latest political, social, environmental, economic issues, all those talking points. It's just data. It's just noise coming at you, and it will come at you more intensely, not each and every day, but the big shifts haven't even begun yet, really. But it's important to note that this noise, if it's not giving you any inner peace, it's not giving you any contentment, any joy, any feeling of thriving in your life, then maybe it's time to tune out of the noise, or regulate the noise, or turn it down a bit and tap into the stillness within, which is what we do at our Easter meditation yoga retreat on the Gold Coast. You can check that out as well. But anyway, that's everything for now. I wanted to say thanks very much for watching, and you'll hear more about this topic as we move through this profound time. Very exciting to be here, very blessed to be here. Thanks for watching. We live in epic times.